The idea that you're going to sit on the sofa and get paid to do nothing? Keep dreaming, baby. It just ain't going to happen. I'm sorry. It's a wonderful idea, but that's all it is, an idea. Most people come to the realization, sooner than later, if you want to make money, you got to work. It's that simple. Universal basic income, the idea, money for nothing and chicks for free. It never works out that way.
If I gave you $1,000 a month, it probably would not make a big difference in the economy because it would just go into your account somewhere and nothing would happen. But we all know that right now most Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. 57% of Americans can't afford an unexpected $500 bill. Like, look, you know what's good for business? People having money to spend. You know what's bad for business? People not having jobs and not having money to spend. Like this is pretty much a no-brainer. And this is one reason why my flagship proposal is we give every American $1,000 a month free and clear. And that doesn't somehow usurp your labor, your time. That actually, if anything, liberates your labor, your time. That if you have a little bit more freedom from scarcity, then you can start making moves towards the sort of work that you want for yourself, that you value, that you would find fulfilling and exciting. I've been driven to universal basic income in part because I've been looking at the numbers. The 5 most common jobs in the United States right now are administrative and clerical work, retail and sales, food service and food prep, truck driving and transportation and manufacturing. Those 5 jobs comprise about half of all American jobs. Only 32% of Americans graduate from college. So the average American is a high school grad doing one of these 5 jobs. And if you look at it, technology is already doing a number on each of these jobs. Like the first, administrative and clerical, includes call center workers, and AI is in the process of taking over that job. Retail and sales, 30% of malls are closing in the next 4 years. So the danger here is to think of it as artificial intelligence is coming. It's actually already eating up the most common jobs in our economy, and it's driving Americans into distress in various ways in the numbers. I know you spoke to another guest about, hey, how do you get, let's say, approximately $3 trillion a year to fund universal basic income? And the great thing is that the first thing is that it's not actually $3 trillion. And the reason why it's not $3 trillion is that if you look at what we're currently doing, we're spending about $1.5 trillion right now on 126 welfare programs and Social Security. So the $3 trillion actually shrinks a lot very fast because of the fact that about half of Americans are already getting various income support from the government. So the real price tag is closer to about 1.8 trillion if you say everyone who's 18 and up. Now, for context, the entire U.S. economy is now 20 trillion, up 5 trillion in the last 12 years, and the federal budget's 4 trillion. So you're looking at 1.8 trillion. It's a lot of money, but it's actually manageable. So of the 1.8 trillion, we're going to get back, let's call it 400 billion in new tax receipts because everyone's going to be spending more money. We're going to save 1 to 200 billion on things like incarceration and homelessness services and emergency room health care. I was in New Hampshire last month. So politician-y. And a prison guard said to me, this is a prison guard, he said we should pay people to stay out of jail because we waste so much money when they're in jail. Like he sees all the waste in the system. So if you imagine a society where everyone's getting $1,000 a month, that's it's a great incentive to try and stay out of jail because you stop getting it if you wind up in jail. And it reduces recidivism because when you come out of jail, at least you have $1,000 a month waiting for you, and then you're less inclined to commit a crime and head back in. At the margins, would it keep like that person who's falling through the cracks and feels like they have no place in society, and maybe they, it's like the people around them are also like, hey, you don't have any value, and you get $1,000 a month, maybe like it keeps them off at the margins. And everything we're talking about is at the margins. I mean, everything's like this statistical curve, and you're taking the people who are, let's call it like the last 10 to 20%. But if you reduce our incarcerated population by 10 to 20%, I mean, that's billions and billions of dollars. So you're saving money on a bunch of things we spend like about $1 trillion on right now, like healthcare, incarceration, homelessness services. And then the magic is that if you have $1,000 a month and you're a parent, so you feel this, that studies have shown that your kids are healthier, better nourished, more likely to graduate from high school and get further education, mental health improves, relationships improve, domestic violence goes down, hospital visits go down, and your worker productivity goes up. I mean, you're an entrepreneur and CEO, so you know when you run a company, you say, I'm going to invest in my people. I'm going to treat them well and try and train them and give them resources because you know that'll increase your productivity as an organization. In the public sector, we have the opposite approach where if I can just avoid spending money on you, I'm going to somehow save money. When we end up spending that money in very, very dark, costly, counterproductive ways in the back end because they wind up, in our institutions. And our institutions just spend a truckload of money. So if you look at the cost savings and the value gains and the economic growth, that actually gets you back about $1 trillion of the 1.8. This is like the trickle-up economy because none of the money disappears. It goes right back into the economy. And the way you get the last $800 billion or so is related to what we think is happening with AI and all these advanced technologies. Because if you look at who's going to win with AI and self-driving cars and trucks, the savings from robot trucks are estimated to be $168 billion a year, just from that one thing. So the problem is that the American public is going to see very little of that money. Because the winners are going to be the trillion-dollar tech companies that are great at just not paying a lot of taxes. They'll move it through Ireland. Amazon will say, didn't make any money this quarter, no reason to pay taxes. And so what we need to do is we need to put in a new tax that actually gets the American public a slice of every robot truck mile, Amazon transaction, Facebook ad. And every other industrialized country already has this tax. It's called a value-added tax. And because our economy is so vast at 20 trillion, a value-added tax at even half the European level generates about 800 billion in new revenue, and that gets you all the way there. So this is much more achievable and affordable than most people think when they start unpacking how the numbers work out.